onefootflipper.
Hi, Paige here, the One Foot Flipper. Today we're going to talk about, is full-time eBay selling really right for everyone? Before we get into that, I just want to mention a couple of things. I just got paid by YouTube, $251 for a month. That was a 2-week paycheck for me at McDonald's back when I was 16, so not bad. It's not paying the bills yet. Well, actually, that is going to pay a couple of the bills. Nowhere near full-time income, but talked about how this hat was awful in the last video, and it says Missouri Title Loans on it, plain black strap back hat. Otherwise, generic made in China brand, and a lot of people posted various uses for it in the comments, which I thought was hilarious. So if anybody really wants this hat, contact me. I'll send it to you for $7 shipped. All right, probably just gonna cut out and interject some sales. Usually when I do these videos, lately I've just had the items all with me and I stop, bring some out, and then go back. But today I'm going to cut back and forth. The effect is going to be about the same. But to make, for those of you who don't want to watch a whole video, no, full-time eBay selling is not right for everyone at all. I personally was kind of forced into it when I lost the leg. It was either do nothing, possibly try to get disability, which I don't get disability. People ask that a lot. I don't get any government money at all. I earn all my money. It was either do nothing, eventually get a phone tech support job from home, which I would have hated. I would have hated that so much I would have rather just not woke up from my coma, or I could sell on eBay. And I opted to sell on eBay. But that is not the right route for everyone at all. First thing we're actually going to talk about, I think, is if you're really bad with money, if your bank account always has $37 in it, and it doesn't seem to matter how much you make or you don't make, that you are always riding that edge of zero, then eBay is not good for you, because you'd be managing the expenses of a business to your own personal expenses, and the business income is going to be much more unpredictable than your personal income is. So I would not be jumping right into full-time eBay if I was bad at money. I've always been pretty good at handling my expenses. You know, I think the last time I had an overdraft fee was when I was 19 years old. Because, yeah, that's just... And you also got to keep good records, too, when you're a full-time reseller. You can't just forget about it. All right, I spent a lot of the day today working on my basement. I'm getting it closer and closer to having enough room down there to have a desk, which would be awesome. Normally I don't show the trading cards, but this is a viewer sale. Viewer Jan, Munchkin Musings on eBay. I'll put a link to her store down below. Bought 2 different James Bond trading cards. She says, hello, I just want to say that I really like your YouTube videos and congrats on 5,000 subs. The cards are for my fiance. He loves James Bond. Thanks. Thanks to you, Jan. I also sold this Forgotten Realms Horde book. This is part of a larger box set, so it took forever to sell. $7.28. It was far to the left on one of my shelves. The further to the left the item, the older it is, so it's probably been up about 2 years at this point. What else do I got here? Sold a couple of different Warhammer bits. I sold a claw for $9.99. And I sold a Devastator with plasma cannon for $10.79. That stuff just keeps paying off. And speaking of paying off, something finally started paying off. I bought a box of about 25 stickers that go on cars, all military and Air Force related. The first one from that box sold $4.99. I paid $1 for the box, so I am in the profit at this point. Couple of record albums. Dr. Hook, $3.23, and that's an ex-library, and they put the card sleeve in the worst possible spot. And I sold Dave Mason, Let It Flow, $6.99. A little bit better there. I sold a very sad Teddy Ruxpin. He's dirty. He has no mouth. He has no lower mouth. He also doesn't have a battery cover, so I was unable to test anything. I mean, technically, I could have rigged up wiring to test him, but to me, it wasn't worth it because I don't have electronic components like that out and easy to get to the way I used to in the past. So I listed him for parts or repair, and he sold for $9.99. And I sold a pair of hermit crab wooden stamps for $4.49. Whether or not full-time eBay is going to be appropriate for you too, it's going to have a lot to do with your existing place in life and your existing career path if you have one. I think some of the less of a career path you have and the less opportunity you're going to have one in the future, the better full-time eBay could look for you. Like, I never really got a great career going in life. I did not really go to college. I went for one semester twice, just couldn't afford it while working full-time. I never really got a good career going. I was kind of held back a little bit by being named Page. It wouldn't seem like it would matter much, but having a name that 99% of the time when somebody looks at it they think is female, it can really hurt you when you're applying to male-dominated fields, which I mostly did, because most of the time, and this is not meant to diminish the problems that women have in the workforce either. They have their own problems. I just got a little bit of extra problems in that when I was applying in these male-dominated fields, I just didn't get the calls at all. Or when I did get the call, they'd realize it was a man, and they'd come up with an excuse to end the call almost immediately. Back in the 90s, they'd actually even say, "Oh, we were looking to hire a girl." So the situation, they finally decided they're going to hire, they're going to hire in their one woman or whatever else. They've decided, "Oh, he's not a woman. Move right on." Matter of fact, Paige apparently was such resume death for me that basically I got every single job I've ever gotten via word because I knew somebody. The only jobs I ever got that I didn't know anybody were entry-level restaurant jobs when I was very young. And even then, most of the time, they were looking to hire a girl because I always seemed to slot into a position like, I got hired at McDonald's. All the guys worked in the back, all the girls worked in the front. Where did they put me? In the front. Because they needed a front person, and they called a girl to get a front person and ended up with me. Same thing, I ended up waiting tables at a restaurant that had not had a single male server in 10 years, according to the head waitress there. And in that case, I never even talked to them in advance. They just left a message on the machine that said, "Hey, Paige, your resume looks good. You can just come in and start tomorrow. Come in at 6 a.m. and start tomorrow." And I came in at 6 a.m. and started. And the whole time I worked there, I was the only male server. Everybody in the back was male, and everybody out front serving was female, except for me. Wow, I went down a long path with that. But if you've already got a great job, if you're an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, or you're already making a very good wage, you are probably not likely to match that as a full-time eBay seller, at least not unless you were extremely good at it. It was quite easy for me, I think, to get past the amount of money that I could earn, that I was able to earn normally with no degree. But if I had a degree and a great path going already, eBay might not have been the best choice for me. Also, I personality-wise match up with a lot of the other things that make it good for eBay. So basically, I guess, if you don't make a lot of money already and the opportunities aren't great, because unfortunately the older you get, the harder those first stairs on that ladder are to climb. Making a lot of progress on the basement. If you've seen other videos, this area of the floor I'm pointing at used to be piled with death pile up to the light fixture. Now I've got that cleared out. I'm finding more stuff back here that I never listed, like vintage camping heater, a new old stock, still in the box, 13-inch TV DVD combo. I need to list that. I have no idea why I didn't list that, but I'm going to list it today. So you'll see that available on my store by the time this video goes live. Then lots of mistakes. Case of cheerleader cards down there. Second case of cheerleader cards. Yeah, I figured out that cheerleader cards sell at the rate of 1 every 3 months. I have 20,000 of them, so that's going to work out well. People who live in different areas of the country, eBay is going to be better or worse for them. As for one thing, the amount of money you're going to make on eBay is not going to change drastically by where you live at all. But how much it costs to live can change dramatically from one place to another. You know, it costs a whole lot more money to live in San Francisco than it does in Murfreesboro, Arkansas, or Tennessee, or wherever that is, or St. Louis, the greater St. Louis area, which is where I live. Just being and living in the middle of the country not only is generally cheaper, it also reduces your average price you spend on shipping. If you're at one of the coasts, your average shipping distance is much higher than if you live in the middle of the country. And even what part of the country you live in, how far away do you live from sources? If you've got to drive 40 miles to the nearest town where there's one Goodwill and maybe 3 garage sales a year, you're not going to do as good as somebody who lives maybe in a big suburban sprawl where there's garage sales all the time, or, just a medium-sized town where there's always going to be stuff. And your ability to handle stress and loneliness are also going to be a factor as to whether or not your eBay selling is right for you. eBay selling can be very stressful for you if you're the kind of person who gets bothered by things and gets stressed out by things. If somebody leaving you a negative feedback or scamming an $8 item away from you is going to ruin your world, you are not going to want to be a full-time eBay seller. And if you need to be around people continually, all the time, full-time eBay selling is not right for you. I spend most of my time absolutely alone, or now that it's summertime, my daughter's here. She's puttering around somewhere back there. But yeah, the rest of the time, I'm by myself. Matter of fact, one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel really was so I could have some sort of co-workers or connection with the outside world. Another factor you want to look into about doing eBay full-time is health insurance. Can you get health insurance from a spouse? Sometimes that's better, sometimes that's not. But in one way or another, you need to price health insurance in to whatever you're doing, because it's not free. Or actually, it is free if you're poor enough. If you make enough, if you don't make enough money, that marketplace insurance can be free. My marketplace insurance was free back when I was in the hospital, or it cost something like $8 a month. I think now I pay $490 a month for it. Not that I use it at all, but that's a huge factor. It's a factor that a lot of people don't consider. Sometimes I hear some sellers say they don't have health insurance, and that just baffles my mind. I don't know how they do it. If you don't have health insurance, you can get sick one time. Your entire life can be destroyed. All right, I sold a record album, Naked Eyes, self-titled. I had this up for $20. Somebody sent me an unsolicited $15 offer because I didn't have offers turned on. I countered back with $17.50, and they bought it. I also sold 10 Years After, Space and Time, $14.99. This always sells every time I get it. Why don't somebody post down in the comments, what's the single off this album? What's the one that people are going to know? There must be something if it sells every time. I'm just not sure what it is. I sold a circuit board, Konami Jailbreak, 1985. This is an arcade game circuit board. I don't know whether or not this works. I don't own any arcade games anymore. When I had a jailbreak machine, I had 4 circuit boards. 3 of them worked and 1 of them didn't. I obviously sold one of the working ones with the machine, which gives this a 1 in 3 chance of being bad. So I put it up at the price as if it was defective. I put in the listing, it's untested. I have no way to test it anymore, so I'm pricing it as if defective, expect it to be defective. I put it up for $49.99. Sent yet last night, sent a 10% off offer on it this morning, and it sold. And the buyer looks like they buy lots of video game stuff, related stuff, so they probably read the description. And there's also 2 versions of this game. One, the difference being in one has some semi-naked ladies flashing out of windows in certain levels, and the other one doesn't. I had both versions of the game. I don't know which version of it this one is, or if it's the broken one. Who knows? Somehow I still keep finding arcade game circuit boards, even though I supposedly sold my entire remaining circuit board collection to the gentleman who bought out the remainder of my collection some months ago. But I still keep finding them. Sold a tennis racket, head titanium 6100. Sold this for $19.99. Got this at the Goodwill bins last summer, so it took a year to sell. Odd that it had a very even price, because normally all my old stuff does markdowns. The original price must have been one at which that somehow 10% markdown still kept it at an even price. And I sold Stampin' Up! Wooden Stamps, Eastern Blossoms, $3.99. Are you a procrastinator? Procrastinators do not do well on eBay. If you're a procrastinator, you're never going to get your items listed. You're not going to answer your customer questions in a relatively decent amount of time, and you are not going to get your items shipped out on time. The ability to do the right things in the right order and prioritize the most important tasks is important in life, but it's especially important in eBay. Another factor is how much storage space do you already have in your life? I know some people, you'll see some people build big sheds and they work out of storage units, but most people are going to work out of their own home. And do you even have enough space in that home? Or some people even work out of an apartment. Once again, don't know how they do it, but they do. And your access to that storage space is going to be huge because it costs a lot of money to move. Particularly if you actually own a home. The amount of money that just gets lit on fire if you own a home to get a different one is amazing. Most people don't notice it because it all gets caught up in very large real estate transactions that, you know, involve financing this way or another. But if you actually calculate how much money it cost you if you did everything in cash and you had a house and you sold it and you bought for cash an equivalent house, you'd be amazed at how much money just got lit on fire. $10,000, $20,000 or more, depending on the value of the home. And the last thing is, do you have the right kind of expertise and personality to pick well? If you're the kind of person who's a walking encyclopedia of facts and you just pick up things left and right, then you're probably going to be really successful at eBay, because you're going to start learning things to buy, and mistakes not to make very quickly. And if that's just not you, then you might not do as well on eBay as you'd hoped. All right, I think I've gone on long enough. Thanks for helping me get past 5,000 subscribers, everybody. Let's start going for that 6,000. Hit the like, subscribe, wave at UO here. Tell your cousin's hairdresser about the channel. I have not seen her in the comments at all yet, so I don't think she knows.